Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 279 based on novel. So let's start. While the two masters and disciples were talking and laughing with cold faces, in the sky not far away, a middle-aged man did not know where he came from and suddenly interrupted their dialogue. Almost in an instant, two cold eyes fell on the middle-aged figure. The corners of his mouth also aroused a sneer at the cold again. The young man couldn't help licking his lips. It's like seeing prey. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man's face looked a little uncomfortable, and his heart was even more frightened. A bad hunch also rose rapidly from the bottom of his heart. He didn't dare to hesitate more. He arched his hand at them and wanted to leave. Ha ha ha, since you asked politely, I should reply. I'm just a little hungry just now. Didn't I scare you? However, just as the middle-aged man turned around, the young man's body appeared in front of him as if it were a ghost. There was a warm smile on his face and no cold color in his eyes, which was just different from the previous moment. Not only that, the middle-aged man at this time was also extremely shocked at the young man's strange body method. In front of him, the seemingly young black-robed young man was able to flash in front of him in a flash. This scene was really shocking. The middle-aged man thinks that the cultivation of the 5-star Source King is not too strong, but the young man in front of him really makes him feel unimaginable. I'm afraid it can be compared with Xiao Yan, who is still resting in his family. The man in front of me is another devil with cultivation talent. Ha ha, you are joking. I was just impulsive just now. That's why I disturbed you. If you offend me, I hope Han. When the middle-aged man came back to his senses, the expression on his face also changed quickly, smiled twice, and a cold sweat appeared on his forehead. At the same time, he quickly bowed and hugged the young man in front of him with a respectful attitude. After all, the world belongs to the strong. It has enough strength. Even people who are usually arrogant will bend down obediently. When the young people see the middle-aged man in front of them, they can't help but skip a look of pride on their face. They immediately waved their hands and said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. Just now, sir, since he wanted to ask whether this is the mountain of adversity, I'll tell you that this is the mountain of adversity and the territory of Juzong. I don't know what's the matter when you come to Juzong. This." Although the doubt in his heart has been determined, the young man's words still make him feel at a loss. After all, it is the task assigned by the family owner, but now standing in front of him is another Yuanhuang strongman whose cultivation is not weaker than Xiao Yang. Under such pressure, the middle-aged man has to hesitate. He, don't worry. I'm a member of Dui sect. My name is Xu Zhan. I'm a disciple of Dui sect. If you want to ask me anything or anything else, you can tell me. I'll convey it for you. If you don't believe it, I can take you in. Xu Zhan had a warm smile on his face. When the middle-aged man saw this, his worries naturally decreased. Although he still hesitated, he told Xu Zhan the purpose of his trip. After Xu Zhan heard Xiao Yang's name from the middle-aged man's mouth, his originally calm face suddenly became gloomy. In one eye, the bloodthirsty killing intention poured out uncontrollably. Unexpectedly, he completely ignored the words of the middle-aged man. After a long time, his voice whispered slowly, Okay, Xiao Yang. Are you coming to the central region? The account between you and me must be clear. Seeing Xu Zhan's suddenly changed face, the middle-aged man was awed in his heart. The source gas in his body was flowing quietly, and his body shape and action were slightly undetectable. He could vaguely detect that Xu Zhan's mood was deteriorating. Once he continued to tease and stay, he was afraid he would cause trouble for himself. Sir, I hope you don't forget my request. We will. Pooh. However, before the words of the middle-aged population fell, a bloody palm pierced his chest in an instant, and then the purple and black poison fog in the palm quickly condensed to form a vortex. At the same time, the fierce suction emerged from it. At this moment, the middle-aged man's body was twisted uncontrollably, and a sad and painful hiss came from his throat. The poisonous fog filled the air. When it wrapped his whole body, the roar gradually fell down. Finally, The poisonous fog and his whole person merged into his palm and became a part of Xu Zhen. Who? For a long time, when Xu Zhen opened his eyes again, the faint light from the bottom of his eyes flashed by, and the corners of his lips raised a gentle smile. His cultivation is always completely stable in the 6-star Source Emperor. With that power, now his strength is afraid to be close to the middle of the 6-star Source Emperor. Now, it's time to leave here. Xiao Yang. And the legendary saint, Gaga. Teacher and disciple may know what to do. While the laughter in her heart fell, Xu Zhen slowly got up, with a warm smile on her face, looked at the Yingying girl walking lightly and carefully behind her, and the clear laughter came out. You girl, if you don't practice well, you want to tease me. Just like you're still 100 feet away. I've found you. Xu Zhen chuckled, while the girl's pretty face was slightly red and her tongue was sticking out. The former came forward and rubbed the latter's exquisite head with her broad palm, even if she pulled each other up with one hand and went down the mountain. Let's go. It's time to go back. Zhong mainly knows that you sneak out for me again. I'm afraid you'll have to be punished. Xu Zhen chuckled and looked like a warm big brother. The girl followed her closely. When she heard what Xu Zhen said, she turned her mouth playfully and argued. I didn't sneak away. It's clear that I came out of the side door in a fair way. Besides, my father can't control me. If he punishes me, you'll be angry for me, won't you? The girl stepped forward 2 steps, her body leaning against Xu Zhen's arm, and her face looked forward to her voice. The latter slightly turned his head and looked at the girl on one side. He paused slightly. Then he put his hand around the girl's delicate shoulder and said with a smile. That's natural. Anyway, I will face you. If anyone wants to take you away from me, he will pay a painful price for it. At the same time, Xu Zhen looked back and glanced at the fine light in the depths of his eyes. The girl in his arms looked happy and seemed to have found the most precious person in his life. The southern region, the extreme south, faces the city in the south. In a slightly dilapidated courtyard, Xiao Yang and his party are sitting and resting. In Xiao Yang's hand, a Naji is lying quietly. This is the Naji taken from Fu Tuhao's body. The old guy himself is a strong man at the level of Yuan Huang and has lived for thousands of years. I believe there are many treasures in Naji. Now that people are dead, everything in Naji, naturally, it should belong to him. The heart reads a move, the surging soul power in Xiao Yang's body immediately surges up, and then condenses a wisp and disappears into the ring in the palm of his hand. With the intervention of soul power, all the things in Naji have also been reflected in Xiao Yang's mind. High-level skills, fighting skills, pill collection, infinite spirit stones, and even a lot of precious medicinal materials and some arrays. If these things are taken out, they will certainly cause a great sensation in the outside world, but all will belong to Xiao Yang. Unfortunately, although the treasures in this ring are particularly expensive, there are few things that can enter Xiao Yang's eyes. At the moment, after a simple exploration, he still reluctantly slowly withdrew from the soul power. However, just when Xiao Yang's soul power was about to withdraw from the ring, somewhere in the ring, a seemingly insignificant fragment suddenly appeared in Xiao Yang's mind, and almost at this moment, the soul power that wanted to withdraw suddenly stagnated. Then the light on the ring flashed, and a small piece of black leather paper appeared in Xiao Yang's palm. A pair of lacquered black eyes stared at the small piece of broken leather paper in front of them, feeling a little familiar breath on it and the special power contained in it. The look in Xiao Yang's eyes was gradually solidified, and then transformed into shock and ecstasy. Ha ha ha! In the courtyard, uncontrollable laughter came from Xiao Yang's mouth and echoed over the whole manor. However, when people outside heard it, they all turned pale and hurriedly retreated, as if they were afraid to offend him. At this time, in the courtyard, Xiao Yixian and others were also looking at Xiao Yang, who suddenly laughed, although they could feel the surprise in the latter's heart, but this is a bit exaggerated. Return to the source formula. Unexpectedly, I really didn't expect that I would be in the NAGR of Fu Tuao. I really step on iron shoes and have no place to find. It takes no time. In this way, the ancestors' skills are complete. This seemingly insignificant black leather paper is another fragment of Guyuan Ju. The Guyuanju practiced by Xiao Xian was originally the first volume of the 3 volumes of Guyuanju, plus the second volume originally obtained from the inheritance of Supreme Master Qianjue, and the half of the fragments obtained by Xiao Yang at the auction in the western regions. Now, the last part of Guyuanju is in Xiao Yang's hands. As long as this part of the fragmented script returns to Xiao Xian, the Guyuan formula is completely complete, and Xiao Xian's strength can reach a higher level. Return to the source formula. After cultivation, the cultivation will reach the terrible holy level skill of Yuanzuan. Now, Xiao Yang has gathered it all together. Next, just see Xiao Xian again in the future and give him this part of the fragmented script, which can be regarded as the end of one of his major concerns. Half a day later, the party set off again from Nanlincheng and continued to go east. With the departure of Xiao Yang and others, all the strong people in Nanlincheng were completely lost. For a moment, this big city, which is famous in the whole extreme south, has become a pastry in the eyes of countless people. The day before yesterday, those Yuanwang strong people who came to congratulate came again with a large number of people, but there was no longer any compliment. The strong people from all sides gathered together, frantically competing for everything in the city. Such a big city was occupied by the power chambers of all parties in just a few days. At this time, Xiao Yang and others slowly came to a city east of the extreme south all the way. Donghua City. Donghua City is an important city connecting central and southern regions. The transmission array arranged in it leads directly to central regions. It is an extremely important urban hub on the mainland border. Its founder is a huge force in central regions. However, today's Donghua City is under the management of Union Pavilion. At this time, outside Donghua City, Xiao Yang and others were Wei Nali. When they arrived here, it showed that they were only a transmission array away from the middle region. Is this Donghua City? It's amazing. Looking at the towering city like a mountain in front of them, Xiao Yang and his party could not help but show a strong color of shock in their eyes. The size of the city was beyond their imagination. The towering city wall showed a cold color like steel, engraved with various mysterious runes, and the smell came from it. It made people feel a surge of pressure. Rao could not help feeling a burst of awe in his heart with Xiao Yang's strength. Donghua City itself is like a big array. What an amazing array. I'm afraid this array is much stronger than the Protector array in Burning Valley. Their faces were solemn and their eyes stagnated for a long time. Then they walked slowly towards the city in the strange eyes around them. When Xiao Yang and others entered the city, the scene of wealth in front of them was even more amazing. On both sides of the street, all kinds of skyscraper buildings rose from the ground, and the city was a brilliant scene. In just such a moment, Xiao Yang and others met more than a dozen strong people at the level of Yuanhuang, and even the existence of Yuanhuang strong people. The Yuanhuang strongman who can dominate one side in the extreme south looks like an ordinary person even here. The group did not hesitate to stay too much. After asking about the general orientation of the transmission array, they went towards the center of Donghua City. However, just as they entered the city, an old man also found the existence of Xiao Yang and others at this time. After a little hesitation, he moved and disappeared above the city tower in a blink of an eye. A moment later, Xiao Yang and his party had come to the center of Donghua City. Compared with other places, it was undoubtedly more lively here. Because of the transmission array, strong people from all sides in the mainland gathered here. When Xiao Yang and his party came here, they found the existence of strong digital sources. This scene surprised the people. At this time, an old man in a cloud robe suddenly blocked the way of Xiao Yang and others. "Dare you ask this gentleman, but Xiao Yang?" The kind laughter rang out slowly, and the footsteps of Xiao Yang and others also gave a meal. Several people looked at each other. Immediately, their sight returned to the old man in front of them. The old man has a grey bun, a ruddy and full complexion, a pinch of beard on his chin, a slightly thin palm is slowly stroking, and a pair of muddy old eyes. At this time, he is smiling at the people in front of him. Especially when his eyes fall on Xiao Yang, the smile in his eyes is more intense. Seeing the old man in front of him, Xiao Yang also knew that the other party must know his identity, otherwise he wouldn't show such a look. At present, he didn't have much hesitation. While secretly vigilant in his heart, he carefully arched his hand at the old man in front of him and said, "I'm Xiao Yang." "I don't know what the old gentleman said." Noticing the change of Xiao Yang's breath, the old man nodded with a kind smile, and then said, "Don't be nervous, sir. No one can move you in Donghua City, and I'm no exception." As soon as the old man said this, Xiao Yang felt a burst of surprise, but he didn't have time to think about why. The old man in front of him continued to say, "My husband Zhong Li is the head of Union Pavilion in Donghua City. He is the head of my pavilion. He ordered me to wait here. Before leaving, he repeatedly told me that if Mr. Xiao Yang came here, he must treat Yojia. If anyone dares to be embarrassed, no matter who will not appear in Donghua City in the future, so Mr. Xiao Yang can do anything in Donghua City." The old man smiled and made an invitation gesture to Xiao Yang. The latter suddenly realized that no wonder the old man could recognize him at a glance. It turned out that Luo Jin did it, and listening to Zhong Legang's words, it seems that the influence of Union Pavilion in this area is much stronger than he imagined. "You're welcome, sir." After returning to his mind, Xiao Yang quickly arched his hands at the old man in front of him. Then he took a few people behind him and headed somewhere in the center of the city under the leadership of Zhong Li. Although Donghua City is nominally under the control of Union Pavilion, it still belongs to the territory of the southern region. In addition to managing some trivial things, most of the resources and shops in the city still belong to the forces of the southern region. Don't underestimate them. Although on the surface they are some shops opened by ordinary Yuan kings, there are more powerful forces behind them for support. When several people looked at the shops around curiously, Zhong Leluo's words with vigilance came out. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang nodded a little. Imagine that Donghua City is the most important city in the extreme south. How can people who can build shops here and be so stable be ordinary forces? The elder refers to Yuan Huang. Xiao Yang smiled. Those who can establish power here naturally belong to the strong of Yuan Huang. Hehe, Mr. Xiao Yang, it's hard to say. The southern region is vast and sparsely populated. The unborn strong don't know geometry. What you see is just the appearance of the southern region. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yang's eyes suddenly coagulated slightly. He naturally understood the meaning of the old man's words. It was like the original Qin Huangmi Valley in the western regions. On the surface, it was the largest force in the western regions, but the real leader was the Murong family in the western wilderness, or the Blood Flamebird family in the fire maple forest in the extreme south. So far, what Xiao Yang has seen is only Zhu Hao, the head of the Blood Flamebird family, and his son Zhu Kan. Naturally, the size of the whole ethnic group is unimaginable. The mainland is very large, and there are not a few people with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. This is why it is necessary to be cautious when walking on the mainland, because there is no absolute power on this continent. A moment later, a group of people appeared in an attic. In the hall, after several people took their seats, Zhong Lejin walked in front of them, arched his hands and slowly tunnel. "I wonder if you know anything about my cloud-hidden pavilion, or the middle region." As soon as these words came out, several people in the audience shook their heads. They were only going to the central region of the mainland for the first time. Who would know what it was like there? As for the cloud-hidden pavilion, Xiao Yang only knew that it was a force belonging to the central region, but he didn't know who it was. Seeing the people shaking their heads, Zhong Li made a clear light It seemed that he was not surprised by the result, and then continued to speak. "Before leaving, the cabinet leader specially asked me to tell you that if you come here, you must clearly tell you that the forces in the central region are more complex and dangerous than those in the mainland. What Mr. Xiao Yang needs to pay attention to most are some of the more powerful forces in the central region. The power division in the middle region is different from that in other places. Apart from some powerful warcraft groups, human forces are led by Dantar, followed by Tianyuan sect and Gui men, 3 major clans, Xiao clan, Bai clan, and Ouyang family. Finally, there are 4 other major sects led by Yangxianzong. The Ghost Temple is also among them, and the Tianyun mountain villa where Yangxianzong is located is convenient. It is one of them. As for the other side, it is called Dui Zong. I believe Mr. Xiao Yang will have contact in the future. In the end, Zhongli's eyes involuntarily fell on Xiao Yixin and Liana. With his eyesight, he can naturally see the differences between the two women. When Xiao Yang heard about the Xiao family in his words, his face also changed. Unexpectedly, the Xiao family is also among the super forces in this middle region. But it is also because of this that Xiao Yang can't help worrying about Xiao Xian's current situation. The latter hasn't got the whole chapter of Volume 3 of the Source Returning Formula, and his accomplishments are bound to be affected. Among the Xiao family, I'm afraid there will be trouble. With this in mind, a cold light suddenly flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes. If Xiao Xian was all right, but if he went to the Xiao family and saw Xiao Xian being treated coldly by others, the so-called family should not be considered. After a thought, Xiao Yang returned to his mind again, and Zhongli opened his mouth again. Although most of these forces hold one side, Mr. Xiao Yang should pay special attention to the Ghost Temple and Yangxianzong. On the surface, these two forces are indeed as famous as the Dui sect of Qianyun Mountain Villa, but in fact they belong to the branches of Qianyuan sect and Ghost sect. They have been wary of each other for many years and distributed along the mainland border. Until these years, the power of Ghost Temple has gradually increased. They withdrew from the mainland border after closing up. Although this is the case, if Mr. Xiao Yang encounters it in the future, he must be careful. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang couldn't help nodding solemnly. He naturally knew better than everyone about the reason why the Ghost Hall closed its forces. But now he was going to set foot in the middle region, but he didn't think that the first thing to face was the Ghost Break Door. As for the so-called Ghost Door, I'm afraid it was a more terrible existence. In addition, before leaving, the Pavilion Lord specially explained that if Mr. Xiao Yang encounters any problems that can't be solved, just come to our Qianyun Villa, and the Pavilion Lord will try his best to help. In the attic, after listening to Zhongli's kind explanation, Xiao Yang and his party got up with a smile, hugged the old man in front of them, and said respectfully, "Thank you, Master." Seeing the crowd like this, Zhongli couldn't help but smile on his old face, gently raised his hand and said with a light smile, "Mr. Xiao Yang is polite. I just obey orders. All this is explained by the leader of the cabinet. I just deliver a message on behalf of the leader of the cabinet. I just hope Mr. Xiao Yang will be careful in everything after he arrives in the central region. The people there are no better than those in the southern region." At the end of the speech, Zhongli's tone was more alert. He naturally heard of Xiao Yang's actions in the extreme south. If he followed Xiao Yang's character, he would inevitably cause trouble once he arrived in the middle region. The elder's kind reminder will be remembered by the younger generation. However, sometimes, the trouble is not necessarily found by myself. If someone thinks that my friend and I are easy to bully, then I will tell him with my fist that we are not persimmons. Xiao Yang smiled calmly, and a cold color flashed across his dark eyes. What he said was the Ghost Break Door. Even if Xiao Yang really wanted to avoid those things that were neither human nor ghost, he was afraid it would be difficult to do so. This time he went to the central region, the Ghost Break Door is bound to act on him. At that time, not only he, but also his friends, it is inevitable that we will encounter difficulties. The best solution to this problem is to use violence to curb violence and come up with strong enough strength to kill and expel all the invaders. When Zhongli saw the cold killing opportunity on Xiao Yang's face, he opened his mouth slightly, but he was still silent, nodded and said, "In that case, I wish you all the best in your trip. I'll see you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow." With a fist hug, they came to the center of Donghua City again under the leadership of Zhongli. On the wide square, there are a lot of people. At this moment, a dazzling golden light is scattered between more than 10 stone columns on a huge platform. With the extreme flicker of those lights, a crowd of shadows appear at the height of the stone platform in a short moment. Many people's eyes also see the past. Xiao Yang at this time, the line of sight noticed the stone columns around the stone platform. Compared with the transmission array seen in the past, the one in front of me seemed different. Aware of Xiao Yang's sight, Zhongli smiled faintly, stroked his beard with one hand, and said with a smile, "Mr. Xiao Yang thinks there is something wrong with this transmission array?" Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang was stunned at first, and then he came back to himself. He smiled and said, a little embarrassed. Although I have seen many transmission arrays, it seems that this transmission array is different in size and structure. He, Mr. Xiao Yang observed carefully. Compared with the transmission array in the south, west, and north regions, this transmission array is indeed different. Mr. Xiao Yang may not know that the transmission array itself is not established in a fixed form. The reason why the transmission arrays commonly seen are 5 levels is that the cohesion of the transmission array itself requires a lot of soul power based on, only when the soul power reaches the 5th level can it be condensed. At this point, Xiao Yang couldn't help nodding. He also heard that the cohesion of the transmission array itself requires great soul power as a price. Under the 5th order array mage, he hasn't heard that anyone can successfully unite it. But in addition, there are also 6 or even 7 order transmission arrays above the 5th order. The transmission array in Donghua City is the 6th order. Compared with the 5th order transmission array, although the energy consumed by the 6th order transmission array is greater, at the same time, both the transmission distance and speed will be greatly improved. It is precisely because the distance between the middle region and the south region is too far, therefore, only the 6th order transmission array can achieve such an effect. Of course, in addition to the state transmission array, there are also some short-range transmission arrays. There is no need to set up an array. As long as the power of the array disk is used, it can carry out short-range rapid transmission. However, the disadvantage of that transmission array is aimless. It can be regarded as a good choice for some fugitives. In short, the effects of different arrays are very different. Although there are many herbalists on the mainland, the array mage is not easy. Unfortunately, there are too many forces that have ignored the existence of the array mage. As he spoke, Zhongli could not help sweeping Xiao Yang's eyes. Naturally, he knew that the black-robed young man in front of him was also a pharmacist. Therefore, at the end of his words, there was a sense of emotion. Because of the existence of Dantar, all the strong people on the continent thought that the pharmacist was the king, but he ignored the equally powerful array mage. I have to say that this is a kind of sadness. After listening to Zhongli's words, Xiao Yang suddenly realized that he didn't know much about the array. In the past, he underestimated the power of the array mage. Now I think, the array mage also has his own uniqueness. If it can flourish in the future, it must also become one of the hot industries in Yuanwu mainland. After a few simple courtesies, they set off for the high platform in front of them. Zhongli looked at the dry back in front of him. He couldn't help but have a vague guess that he might stir up the situation because of this dry man in the future. The group of people stepped gently onto the high platform and stepped into the array. In addition, an old man in a golden robe controlled the array. After everyone stepped into the array, the old man changed the familiar knot again. With the rapid change of the knot in the old man's hand, the array under everyone's feet and the stone pillars around him, at this time, there was a burst of glittering and translucent golden light. When the golden light enveloped the people in the array like the light of the scorching sun, everyone's sight became blurred. Buzzing, buzzing. On the huge square, a burst of golden light shone again. After the people present glanced faintly, immediately, in the center of the square, within the array, a crowd shadow appeared. After the golden light, Xiao Yang's line of sight gradually recovered. They looked carefully at the surrounding environment. Their eyes were both surprised and curious. Is this the middle region? Guilin City is a small city in the southwest of Central Region. Although it is not controlled by any power, it has become the most popular city in this area because of the transmission array. The daily passenger flow is comparable to that of some large cities in Central Region, and its prosperity can be imagined. At this moment, in the center of Koran City, on a huge square, Xiao Yang and others looked at the surrounding environment with curiosity. After a long time, they walked towards a street in the sight of many contemptuous people around. Pedestrians on both sides looked at these curious young people with a sneer on their faces. Looking at them is like looking at a group of hicks. Although they have seen a lot of such newcomers, someone will always sneer at them. Even, there will be no fewer people looking for trouble. I said, those boys, is this your first time to come to the Central Region? While Xiao Yang and others were walking slowly towards the street, several tall middle-aged strong men came to one side. These people had noticed their existence as soon as Xiao Yang and others appeared. With many years of experience, they naturally clearly found that these young people came to the middle region for the first time. When the vigorous shouts from the strong man fell, some people who were familiar with it immediately turned their eyes on Xiao Yang and his party. They immediately swept their eyes between the two. Looking at the thin bodies of Xiao Yang and others, they couldn't help shaking their heads with pity. Although these strong men are not big people, they are in the Gulen city, however, there are few enemies. On weekdays, they are specialized in dealing with some newcomers and gaining benefits from them, especially the young people like Xiao Yang and his party. Once they are watched by them, they don't pay any price. I'm afraid it's difficult to leave the Gulen city in peace. Several strong men looked at Xiao Yang and his party who were standing in front of them. They couldn't help glancing a sneer in their eyes. A smile like a can appeared at the corners of their mouths. Their steps forward also seemed more arrogant. What are you doing? Aware of the malicious eyes of these strong men, Xiao Yang and others kept the same complexion. While turning around, the indifferent voice of words also came out of Xiao Yang's mouth. Seeing Xiao Yang and others like this, the look on the faces of those strong men was stunned. Even if they turned into a sneer, they had not seen such proud newcomers in the past. Unfortunately, it was even more difficult for them to have this kind of people in their hands. I said, "Boy, this is the middle region, not your hometown. When you come to my Gulen city, you have to abide by the rules here. Since you are new, 500 spirit stones per person is a toll." One of the strong men, the leader, swaggered up to Xiao Yang and others, looked coldly at Xiao Yang with a rather arrogant tone. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang's eyelids were slightly lower, and his face gradually became indifferent. His eyes swept around the onlookers, many of whom came here with them, and their accomplishments were generally above the Source King, and their eyebrows were straight. At first glance, it was the kind of cruel role. Soon, Xiao Yang's eyes returned to the strong man in front of him, slow tunnel. "Yes, please collect their tolls first." While saying this, Xiao Yang's eyes swept again, but the strong man in front of him couldn't help but be stunned. His eyes swept around, and then he snorted coldly and said, "Boy, among these people, only you are new. You should pay. Are you really so familiar with their faces, or because of their strength?" Without waiting for the words of the strong man to fall, Xiao Yang interrupted him with a word. While his cold eyes fell on the former, a terrible smell that made the faces of the vast majority of people present suddenly change, immediately spread out from Xiao Yang's body. The powerful pressure was half kneeling the strong men in front of him. The burly man who was much taller than Xiao Yang had to surrender his body uncontrollably. Yuan Huang, the strong? Then, unbelievable exclamations sounded on the square, and countless shocked eyes also fell on Xiao Yang at the moment. They have never seen the strong of Yuan Huang, but for such a young Yuan Huang, even in this middle region, it is also rare. As far as they know, such a young Yuan Huang strong, it seems that only those top forces in the central region can cultivate it. Can the young man in front of us be the young children of those forces? At the thought of this, the people present were a little relieved. If so, it would be reasonable. If the people in front of us really came from the mainland border, the young man's cultivation talent would be too terrible. Now, do you still want the spirit stone? Ignoring the frightened eyes around him, Xiao Yang looked at the middle-aged man who was half kneeling in front of him and said slowly. When the latter heard the speech, his heart was full of bitterness. He immediately apologized and often walked by the river. There were no wet shoes. Today, their group finally met the iron plate. They used to try all kinds of methods. This time, they met Xiao Yang and his group, which was an alarm for them. If they were really the children of some great forces, I'm afraid these guys at the moment may not be able to kneel here alive. After solving the current trouble, Xiao Yang and others stopped paying too much attention and walked slowly in the direction previously selected. Then, the crowd of onlookers gradually dispersed. At the same time, on a high-rise in the city, two people, old and young, were also looking at the direction of Xiao Yang's departure, especially when their eyes fell on Liana. It can't help showing the color of greed. "I haven't seen you for years. The child has grown up." The old man looked at the pretty Liana and couldn't help licking his lips. Now he was completely sure that Liana was the child they lost. Three elders, now you should believe what the younger generation said. As long as we work together to bring the saint back to the sect, you must be a great achievement at that time, and the younger generation. Don't worry. As long as you bring back the saint, I will be on your side at that time. Naturally, your marriage with Qianqian will not be a problem. When the young man uttered his words, the old man also smiled quietly. When he heard the words, the former immediately showed a happy smile on his face and quickly saluted the old man in front of him respectfully. When the latter smiled and waved his hand, he did not find it. At the moment the young man bowed his head, there was an extremely dark and vicious light in the depths of his eyes. This video will end here.